It's time to take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. Joining me via Skype is Jide Ologun, lawyer and social development advocate. Good morning and thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning, Veronica.
All right, we head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the News Direct. NDDC stops 132 unexecuted $6.4 billion naira federal lawmakers' contracts, alleges National Assembly wants to scuttle forensic audit. And to the national economy, Nigeria's 30 trillion naira livestock industry to double in 10 years. Projection possible with right structure as sector grows by 12.7% annually. We'll be looking at that story shortly. And to the front page of the blueprint now. 5 days after Buhari signed Executive Order 10, G3 governors hold emergency meeting today. Autonomy for state judiciary legislature top agenda. We consider legal action to deliberate on NLNG ownership, NCDC bill, loans restructuring. And then we move to the Daily Times. Governors to declare position today to also brainstorm on NLNG ownership, NCDC bill, FAAC deductions, as Buhari orders a setting up of implementation committees by state. To the front page of the Leadership newspaper now, Nigeria rejects WHO suspension of chloroquine for COVID-19 treatment. Drug most effective in treatment of virus, NAFDAC. Clinical trial of Russian drug, favipiravir, in final stage. Patient's condition improved faster as drug kills virus in 14 days. Why Africa has least cases, deaths, WHO. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Trust, news tidings around AFDB President additional. U.S. insists on independent corruption investigator. I am innocent, embattled president. Analysts want unbiased probe. All right, we look at the story on the front page of the national economy, talking about Nigeria's livestock industry, said to be 30 trillion naira, and it could double in 10 years. Experts are saying that the projection is possible with right structure in place as the sector grows. But there are also concerns, Mr. Ologun, about COVID-19, saying that pastoralists have to move around, especially because we practice grazing in this country. Does COVID-19 threaten this figure in any way from what you have seen, especially with the fact that WHO is saying that COVID-19 might be with us for a long time?
You see, COVID-19 has brought what is called the new normal. And recall that recently when the Ruga project was pushed to the people, particularly the cattle colony, the federal government got advice from Nigerians that the best approach in this industry now is through ranching. And you can see now the impact of COVID-19 on the nomadic templates of cattle rearing. So by and large, cattle is not the only element within the livestock production in Nigeria. But I know that in 2019, I think around September, there was an advice that livestock production has to increase sixfold to satisfy animal protein demand in Nigeria. So we have a business that has a huge demand in Nigeria. And at that point in time also, Nigerians' diet was 20 times lower than recommended requirements. And about 30% of animals slaughtered in Nigeria were imported. And that may surprise some. And that Nigeria has one of the lowest animal protein consumption in the world. So it's like we have the market. But we are talking about how to enhance this aspect of our general revenue and economy. And I know that NAPRI is the National Animal Research Institute. There was a recommendation at the time, which was on the white paper of the Vision 2020 National Economic Development, that NAPRI be unbundled, all right, split into 4 livestock commodity-based research institutes that will help us in driving these projections. Because it's good now to say that in 10 years' time, we will be here. But what are we going to do to get to that position? Don't forget that by projection, year 2020 is supposed to be the year that Nigeria will be on the list of the 20 biggest economies in the world. But here we are today, we are still the capital of poverty. So we are now held down with this syndrome of not implementing on the plans that we have. Nigeria has
but do we have an option at this point, seeing that the oil of prices has dwindled and we are looking to diversify the economy, especially generating income from the non-oil sectors?
We have diversified. I mean, the oil and gas gives us a little bit above 80% of the national revenue. And of course, the non-oil, about 20%. We have diversified into agriculture. I mean, we've done so well in planting rice and things like that. But you see, does it make sense that we are diversifying and the major stakeholders in the agro-economy are embattling each other? Herdsmen killing farmers, destroying their goods. Are we talking about only cattle here to sustain people? No. There is a need for collaboration between the stakeholders to drive the process. So
and that was the essence, and that was the essence for the National Livestock Transformation Plan, to resolve. That was one of the foundations for which that program was brought up, to resolve the issues between the farmers and herders.
There are steps in conflict resolution, in public relations, in management, in strategy. Are we embarking on it? And I was going to say that it appears more that the clashes in quotes between the herders and the farmers has little to do with economy, but probably taking up territories. And there have been allusions to that effect. Let me tell us, the world cattle inventory as at 2018 stood at about 1.2 billion heads. That means about 1.2 billion cattle. India has the largest cattle inventory in the world, with about, I think about 305 million cattle. You can imagine, cows. Brazil has about 232.3 million. China has about 96.8 million. USA has about 94.3 million. And so we are not even in any way near this. And how do they manage their livestock industry? Are they killing each other? So I have not seen that level of seriousness that will bring the harmony required to drive this economy from poverty to prosperity. And we need to clarify these issues. The clashes between farmers and herders, is it political? Is it economical? And these are questions people are asking. Why do you need to kill the other stakeholders? So if lawyers rise up today and begin to kill medical doctors because we want to enhance the fortunes of law, does that make sense? So we are challenging this government. You need a peaceful atmosphere to translate us from poverty to prosperity. And let me sound a note of warning here. If we keep on promoting this culture of hatred, who knows who will be the president of this country in 5 years' time? And we now begin another reverse. What have we done with the oil and gas? Look at how we are struggling in the global market. We thank God it's even rising there now. So who do we blame for not maximizing the resources we have? Instead of spending our resources on developing the nation, we are spending our resources on the weak part of the nation, on insurgency, on different kinds of crime. And I said earlier this morning, what zeal do we have towards prosecuting crime in this nation? So we need to bring equity on the table.
All right, now
it's a collective responsibility.
let's look at the structures the government can put in place moving forward, especially, and also how farmers can take advantage of this time now, seeing that the president recently said that there would be no more importation of certain items or food items, and that farmers have to step up the plates. Looking at that now, how can farmers take advantage of this time to, ensure that we make as much money, perhaps reposition this sector for the economy?
That is very fantastic. I commend the government for this line of thinking. We need to develop local capacity. But having said it, there is what we call economic environment in public relations. What is the economic environment within which the farmers will operate? I've said it, if we don't resolve the insecurity crisis in this nation, we'll just be wasting resources trying to diversify. Because what happens to farmers who go out there planting, or to be killed, or for their goods to be consumed by another sector of that industry? It doesn't make sense. We need that equity, we need that security. And again, we need to move to the secondary level. We have a huge wastage of harvested products in this country. Do we have electricity to preserve and process these products, even upgrade, add value to export them? There are several issues in the value chain of the agro-business that we can learn from. So we need to rise up and ask a simple question.
All right.
Are we concerned about
Jide
the security?
Ologun, we have to leave the conversation here now. Thank you so much for speaking with us.